Joining us now, he's the head coach of the Texas Longhorns, fresh off that Women's College World Series appearance into the National Championship Series. They speak of Coach Mike White. Coach, good to see you and talk to you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. Obviously, we're done with fall practice and getting ready for a little bit of a break. Taking a vacation to Hawaii next week, so I'm also looking forward to that as well. Obviously, it's never out of your mind thinking about next season.
I hear you on that. And Hawaii, that's a good place to spend some time. I don't blame you in that. How did the fall go this fall, especially after the great run last year and trying to continue that momentum into the fall? How did the fall go for you?
Yeah, it's exactly right. Is trying to maintain the momentum. Obviously, it was a great finish to the season last year, and we want to keep that going. We lost a lot of leadership on the team, a lot of big contributors to the team. So it's a younger team this year for sure, but we're looking for those players that are going to step up and take the reins, so to speak. And we think Alyssa Washington's one of those that can probably get out there and do that for us. Bella Dayton had a great season last year. Estelle Check was good in the circle. So it's just a matter of right now is just really finding out what we've got. We've got 7 newcomers into the program, a couple of transfers. Bailey Brandon and Mac Morgan should be big contributors for us. So really, it's a unknown fact. Everybody asks, how are we going to do? And I really don't know, to tell you the truth. We just hope we continue how we left off last year.
But you have the returners you have that experience from that great year last year and that great run, which has to help too. Even though maybe you're a little younger, but you've got experience from success from last year from the returners.
Without a doubt. And I've always said that is that you can't practice being in that environment. You've got to kind of get there, and the key for us now is to get back there again early so we can again build on the momentum, because it is everything in this game, and that's what we're looking forward to doing, is getting back to the hopefully the College World Series again.
When you this offseason, when you took a moment to look back at last year and an incredible run that you did, when you consider you had to go to Washington to win the region, to go to Arkansas to win the Super Region, the SEC champs, and then get all the way to the National Championship Series, beating Oklahoma State to get there among other teams. What comes to your mind when you think of that run last year?
Well, I think we had our main contributors, Miri Kopo, Janae Jefferson, Haley Dolcini. They were all huge in their moments, but it was really the unsung heroes, the ones that stepped up in some big moments, like Sophia Simpson and Estelle Check. We really had some players step up in some key moments. Alyssa Washington was solid throughout the year for us and played great shortstop. I think that that was kind of our Achilles heel there for a while, was our defense, but we were able to turn it around and put things together. Mia Scott played good third base, and we turned a number of double plays. I think we set a College World record for that, series record. So that was good to see that we were able to pick our defense up at the right time.
You mentioned the experience, the leadership you lose. Obviously, you don't replace players like Iacopo or Jefferson or Docini, but it creates opportunities for others. So you mentioned in the fall and some of the names there. Let's talk first about offensively. Who are some of the offensive players that you think could step in and help contribute and offset some of the lost production, either from a production standpoint and also from a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, our DNA of our team this year is going to be a little bit different. I don't think we'll have as quite as many of the long balls, but we hopefully will bang out the doubles and the triples, and that's what we want to do. Of course, Mia Scott, she was dynamic last year, and she's a player that has speed and ability to hit the ball, with power. So that's a big one for us. We've got to get her going. Bailey Brandon coming in has impressed us this fall. She was transferred in from LSU, so we like the look of her right now. Reese Atwood has been doing a great job at catcher. We lost Iacopo, so trying to get someone to fill that role along with Katie Simmons. So we got some good options there, and that which either one of them can flip and play first base. Obviously, in middle infield, Vivi Martinez, a heralded freshman coming in, is going to be big for us. Smooth fielding, shortstop, second baseman. Could play some third if we had to. So that's another big one for us. That and how well she fits in along with Leanne Good, player from the Bombers organization, has shown some promise as well. So there's a lot of new names out there, and see how we do. Bella Dayton, of course, had a very, very good postseason. Has the ability to hit for pop, for power, and then also speed as well. So yeah, it's just a matter of seeing how that all blends together.
You mentioned Mac Morgan. That's the big addition from the pitching staff side. What does she bring to your staff?
Oh, I mean, just her. I just love her Midwest ethics. She's just a great person. Has that want to get out there and do it, a bulldog kind of approach to everything. Give me the ball, I'm going to get it done. And she's been great to work with this fall. She's a first to practice, always early, never late. Just has the passion for the game, and she's all business when she gets out there. So I'm excited to work with her. And then a new freshman, Citlali Gutierrez, has impressed us this fall, and I like what she's doing. And she's like, just like a ball of dough. You just kind of molding her and seeing what she can bring to the table. Great build for a pitcher. Is really just learning as she goes along. But again, just leaps and bounds. I think she's going to be great this year.
What can that postseason run that Estelle Check had, who was incredible? She was incredible all year, but especially in the postseason. Sophia Simpson, you mentioned the unsung heroes. What can that experience of success do for them from a growth standpoint going into this year? I would imagine they have to have even more confidence than they probably did a year ago today.
Yeah, it's going to depend on how they look at it. Where they look at, was that an aberration? Was that a one-off thing where, but to me, it's like you have the ability to do this. Now just go out and that's the standard you've set for yourself. Now find that consistency that we need. Obviously, that was kind of like Sophia's, kind of Achilles heel there, so to speak, was that her inconsistency at times. But her change up and just finding another pitch to go with it, and just the ability to work ahead on hitters. She has a lot of tools. Her rise ball's going well this fall. I like that. Estelle Check, again, nasty movement as a lefty. She works extremely hard in the weight room and in the off season. And I like what she's doing. Again, it's just consistency. Some games she found the strike zone too much and got hit hard because of that. But when she's able to work it and around the strike zone, she does very, very well.
You've got a pretty young team, but you're going to challenge them with your schedule. You're going to open in Clearwater in
Yeah.
the NFCA tournament. You've got an incredible slate of games at home with teams like Alabama coming in. You got Wisconsin coming in, Louisiana coming in, among other teams coming in. I mean, I could go on and on, Coach. Did you not forget you have a young roster there, but you like challenging your players, right? It's what you mentioned earlier, putting them in a situation get to pay off down the road in the postseason.
Well, as it showed last year, we played in a pretty tough conference. You put Oklahoma State out there, and Oklahoma, of course, and Baylor, Texas Tech, Kansas, Iowa State. Is tough, and so our conference is tough, and I guess I didn't learn from last year when we went 0-6 there in that one streak, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. But what did we learn from it? I think we learned that we had to get better. Especially with our defense, and our pitching wasn't sharp, and teams took advantage of us. So hopefully we take that with us, and we understand that, if we do happen to lose some games, that it's not the end of it. We'll just learn from those losses and go forward. I'm hoping that we don't lose that many games, but, we've got to understand that, the game's going to tell us whether we're playing well or not, and what we need to do to change that, and keep working hard. I mean, that's it. I mean, I brought that over for the men's game, is that if you want to be the best, you got to play the best, and we've certainly got a great schedule.
Yeah, I mean, you're hosting Virginia Tech as well. I forgot to mention them as well. And you mentioned that Clearwater last year. I know it wasn't a satisfying, obviously, tournament. It was a tough deal, but sometimes you got to go through that to be a better team and grow, right? Did that experience, in a way, kind of set you up to succeed later in the year like you did?
Well, at the time, I would have said no. It was, I know, but I remember talking to Ralph Weekly, and he said, hey, one year we started, 0-5, and we made it to the College World Series. Well, I didn't know it was going to come to fruition. But it certainly is tough at the time, and you start to, wonder about whether you're doing the right things. But you got to believe in the squad you have and the talent you have. And, we have the talent. We're just a little bit young this year, and we'll see how quickly we come together. But we got to understand that those challenges are going to be there for a reason, and we've got to learn from them.
What was it like? I'm curious. You, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. You were the last three teams standing, basically, in
Yeah.
OKC there with a Big 12. A lot of history with the three schools there. Was there a sense of pride though there? Like maybe this offseason when you cross paths, like, hey, good, we did the league. You did each other pretty well there. You did represent it really well.
Yeah, I think it was great to have the three teams from our conference there at the end. I don't know if that's happened too often. I haven't gone back in the history books, but it certainly was good, and there were no secrets. It was we knew each other pretty well, and of course we were down 5-0 in that second game to Oklahoma State, and we were able to bounce back. And that was satisfying to see us not fold the tent. Our history against Oklahoma State hasn't been the best, and for that matter, Oklahoma. But we were able to, hold our own, so to speak. Except for that first game of the final, was a tough one, and that's what we got to work on is getting our pitching staff to be a little bit deeper. It seemed like we weren't able to stop the bleeding at all, and that happened a number of times throughout the season last year. We lost pretty big to UCF, we lost to Baylor. Several times we weren't able to stop the bleeding. And so we've got to find a way to be better at that to give our offense a chance to come back in games.
You've always had a passion for this game since I've covered you, throughout your career since Oregon, and where we've talked in the past. Where did this passion of softball come from you? How did you get involved in the sport? Because clearly you've got a passion for it. I can hear it. You love coaching the kids. That's part of it. But where did the passion for softball come from you?
Well, I think it comes from my competitive drive. I want to win, but I love all sports. Actually, to tell you the truth, I loved soccer growing up, and I played just about anything I get my hands on. And I like just the cat and mouse, the chess game within the sport itself. And other sports. And I've always said this with softball that it's dynamic. It's always changing. You can never get the best of this game. It's always going to challenge you and challenge the players. And I have a standard from seeing the men play, and that's a standard that I really want to get our women to play. I've seen this game grow so much over the last 30 years. In the early 90s, the game wasn't as popular, wasn't played as well, quite frankly. Obviously, there were great players, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as deep as it is now. And that's the fun and exciting part of coaching and being involved in the sport right now, is watching it grow, and people that watch the game, they watch it on TV, they come to it live, they really love it. And so the challenge for us still is to spread the good news about this game and get it to grow.
How long did it take you to adjust or adapt going from the men's game, being around there, to the women's game?
Well, the game itself doesn't know that. There's a 60 feet turn left, just a little bit longer from the pitching distance, but the game, the strategies are the same. Obviously, there's things are a little bit different. It's quicker in the men's side, but still the game itself is exactly the same. You're just dealing with different personalities, younger players, but I enjoy that too. The female athlete it can be a challenge at times, but so can men. So it's just a matter of adapting and changing. And I don't think I'm the same coach today as I was 20 years ago. And I think that's a good thing. I'm learning how to adapt and grow with the style of the athlete today. And that's fun of it. It's a fun part of it, and getting to know the players as people. That's great too. And starting to see these players now that are sending you pictures of their kids, and and getting married, and those things. That's exciting.
Well, and that was the thing that struck me is your bond with players, because even during your run last year, there was a lot of former Oregon players that were rooting you on. And I think you even mentioned in the press conference, in a way, you were representing them as well, finally getting to that championship series. What does that mean to you when you got players like Wins Vekas, you got other former players from Oregon that also are supporting you, not just Texas alums, but of Oregon players that you coached?
Well, I think that you build these relationships, and and in some ways they're like surrogate daughters. You're with them just about every day for 4 years, and you get to know them. And they want to know me more too, and I've learned that they want to know more about me and my family and where I came from and what makes me tick. And I think that's fun, and just continuing those relationships going forward is great. And like I said, it's like having an extended family. and growing your coaching tree as well. Having all these different coaches go to different places. That's fun. That's exciting. And, the challenge of the sport itself, again, is another thing that keeps you going. It keeps motivating you to come back out each and every single year.
You mentioned the coaching tree. You read my mind. I was going to ask you there. Obviously, Coach Bartlett now head coach at Arizona State. You've got a little tree developing in that little conference, Pac-12. I wonder why. I don't know. What is that like when you've developed coaches on your staff that go on to be head coaches? I know there's a sense of pride there, but you do have a coaching tree that you've developed there. That's got to be a lot of pride there.
Well, it is, well, it's either pride or they just get tired of what I'm doing and they want to leave, so it could be one of two factors there. But I think they just, they get excited to be able to coach the game, and hopefully I'm able to create an impression on them and help them in their careers as well. And it is an exciting part of the game.
I've spoken to Chelsea Spencer, and Coach Bartlett's even mentioned this, that you have influenced them and you've helped them kind of learn to be a head coach while they work for you. Just from observing you, there might be things you tell them because you let them do some things that maybe other head coaches don't. You give them some leeway. Just talk about that. Do you subconsciously, when you have a staff, do you kind of coach them up to say, hey, you could be a head coach down the road? Is that something that goes in your mind? Just talk about your philosophy when it comes to your staff.
Well, exactly. I mean, we hired them for a job for a reason, and that's to do their job. And I let them go, and they're going to make some mistakes, but hopefully they grow from it and they're able to learn that way. But I like to hire coaches that do things differently than me. There are different types. Like, for example, Coach Singleton is excellent at the recruiting piece and getting out there and meeting new coaches and really kind of like getting out into the grassroots of it all and making a lot of phone calls and stuff like that. I'm not typically the best on the telephone or making those kind of reaching out and doing those types of things. And so it's really about hiring people that do things well that you don't do, and then you trust them to go out and do it. Same with Coach Zaleski. She's been awesome with our team building, bringing in a different look to our program right now. And we just completed a team camp this last weekend, and that was a lot of fun. That was something we hadn't done in a long time, where we open it up and 6 teams come into our field and play. And from the feedback we got, everyone loved it. So it's just a matter of getting different ideas, and bringing those ideas into the program and trying them out.
You mentioned Coach Zaleski. She takes over for Coach Bartlett. I'm curious what goes through your mind. On the one hand, you're excited for Coach Bartlett. You're happy she's got a head coaching job. On the other hand, you're like, all right, I gotta replace her now with somebody. What goes through your process as you go through the process? Do you have something in mind already in advance? Do you how do you go through that process of making sure you pick the right person to join the staff?
Yeah, it's kind of good news, bad news when you hear the coaches moving on. Obviously, Coach Bartlett's an extremely intelligent coach. And it was great to see her take the opportunity to get out there at a Pac-12 and a big Power 5 program. Those who don't come along every day, and with a young family and everything. I don't know how she manages it, with 2 young daughters and a husband and everything. But so it's a situation where you understand you want your coaches to move on. What is their big thing they have in mind? Like with Chelsea, I knew that she wanted to be at our alma mater, and if that opportunity ever came around, we were going to help her get that. And she was able to do that as well. So you always have that in mind, and you're always looking for the next coach. Who's impressing you out there that possibly if one of your coaches do move on, you're able to fill that role fairly quickly with somebody you're looking for.
Yeah, it's gonna be that Cal Arizona State series. You're gonna have that on your phone. I mean, that's like it's like the Mike White. I joke with both of them, like that should be called like the Mike White series there, or Invitational or something there. But I mean, that's gonna be kind of prideful, but kind of weird, right? Because you know both of them well, so you kind of like you probably look at the score, but you probably are gonna be like, I'm gonna probably be too nervous to watch it, right? Because you care for both sides.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the Alabama's football coach Nick Saban, right? He's always coaching
Yeah,
against somebody.
right.
His tree is so big that, but you try not to think about that, and you just go ahead and coach the way you usually coach, and don't get too deep into it.
I want to ask you a couple things. In the past, you've talked about the tournament and how we can improve on things, especially from a seeding standpoint. Volleyball, as you know, at Texas having a great year this year. and volleyball and women's soccer, they're experimenting with seeding 32 teams to create more parity, less geography impact, as far as predictable kind of regionals there. I don't know how much you follow that, but that something that would interest you as far as softball looking into perhaps expanding the seeding from 16 to 32 and maybe create more parity in the brackets?
Well, I think that's definitely something we should look at. Obviously, cost becomes a factor, and as it is in everything. But if there was no cost associated with it, I would say absolutely. I mean, you work your tail off all season to build a resume, where you're in the top, 16, top 8, top 16, top 32. And I think you deserve to have that ranking and that ability to have a lower seed or lower matchup. I mean, I think that's why we play.
Yeah, no doubt. And then January, a big vote coming in about a full-time assistant being added potentially to softball and baseball. What's your thoughts on that in January? Do you feel it'll pass and the impact it'll have on the game?
Yeah, from what I understand, that will do away with volunteer coaches. But I think it's just a great way for coaches to come into the game, especially young coaches. We want to get them involved and get them into a program. And it's tough, especially at some smaller programs. It's going to be difficult. Some of them can't even afford 3 coaches. So how are they going to afford 4? So it could be a situation where the rich get richer. But having said that, I think it is a good opportunity for us to bring another coach in. And I've heard even in 5 coaches, which could be difficult. We don't have room for even 4 offices here, so they may be in the hallway. So, but that I think it is a good move. I like it, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, maybe we could add that to the list of things we got to do. I know you all been working on renovations for the stadium. It's something that's talked about since your arrival there. Can you give us an update as far as what's looking like from a facility standpoint? Because I know that's a big part of the big future, and it was really a big reason, one of the things that drew you to come.
Yeah, I mean, our stadium was built in '97. We had an update 2 years ago, a $13 million update, and we had an indoor facility built, and updates to the training room and locker room and everything else. And that's fantastic. It's great for the players, but now we need to do something for the fans. I think we're starting to draw pretty well here. We are adding extended bleachers in the outfield to increase our capacity by 600 or so or more. And I think there's a demand for it. But, apples to apples, if you look at it going into the SEC conference, we wouldn't be in the top half, as far as facilities go, as far as an actual stadium to play. So I know it is on Chris Del Conte's radar for sure, but there's some other things that need to be taken care of. But if we're able to raise money or find someone that can help sponsor that, it's something we can push forward. So, that's going to be part of my job, is to reach out and maybe make some inroads into that and hopefully get some help to build a facility that's worthy of the program.
No doubt. It's a great facility, a great place to watch a game. And one of the great things when I get to watch a home game of yours is who's in the booth. And what's it like to have the greatest player in the history of the program, one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, commentate on your home games there? That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think she calls me crazy sometimes, but she is a very, obviously a very intelligent ball player, very smart pitcher. And I always thought that her ability to have the sixth sense, basically of when to throw strikes and when not to throw strikes. It seemed like people were always taking strikes and swinging the balls, and I think that's hard to teach. But just having someone with her experience, her background, her network. I mean, she's helping out in town with RBI, helping to build the grassroots of softball. So what she's done for the program and also for softball itself is great. And it's always good to get some feedback from somebody else as well. And, who knows in the future what may happen there.
Do your players appreciate and understand, like, wow, Cat Osterman's calling your games? Like, that's pretty special. I don't know if that's something you talk to your players about, or do they already know that when they walk in and, maybe see her for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's taken for granted a little bit. I mean, she's around a lot, and I don't know if they look at it that way. I haven't really asked them, to tell you the truth,
Okay.
but I know we've had her talk to our program, and it's made a big impact. Just about her experiences of being at the Olympics, about her experiences of being on teams, and understanding that not all teams are perfect, and how do you work around, some issues you may have within a team. And she had some great insight into that, and because a lot of times you look from the outside and you think everything's perfect, and it is. Really, it isn't that way. And just her insights and feedbacks on team bonding, the way the program works, and where it was at one time and how far it's come. It's just great. And she's at those games in the postseason. She'll travel her own way to those games. So, she's a loyal Texas fan, and it's great to have her around the program.
Yeah, Hall of Famer now. Got inducted recently to the USA Hall of Fame. Well deserved there, and is
Yes.
becoming a great national commentator for the sport, which helps grow the sport as well. When you have somebody like her that's talking about the game on a daily basis and calling your games with Alex Loeb and calling games nationally, it's all pluses for everybody. And I do hope the players appreciate that, because not everybody can say that. That's a pretty cool deal to have one of the greats ever like talking about you on the broadcast.
Well, I believe she's expecting here pretty soon. I
Yes, she
think
is.
in
Yeah,
early
yeah,
March.
yeah.
So, that hopefully it doesn't affect her too much with calling our games.
Knowing her, probably not. She'll figure out a way to figure all that stuff out there, Coach.
For sure.
My last thing for you. Obviously, you got a young team here. What is the keys as you get closer to the season and then get to the season to accomplish your goals with a young team? And what are a couple key factors?
Well, I think is to keep learning. Keep working. Be resilient. Understand that things don't always go the way you want them to go. It's how you react to them and what you learn from them. And we gotta take the little punches that come our way and get back up and go throw some more punches of our own and just keep fighting. I mean, I like our team this year. I think there's a really good chemistry within the team. Great bonding. I think that's it. It's just go out there and be that dog, and keep fighting. I mean, that's what it's about. Is just never give up and never give in, and just see what happens, see how far we can go.
Well, we look forward to seeing your team on the field. It'll get going before you know it, starting in Clearwater. But in the meantime, enjoy a little time off, Coach. You deserve it. Congrats on a great season last year, great run, and always appreciate you talking to us when you've had a chance to talk to us. It's always a privilege to talk to you, and hope we do it again soon. And thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks, Eric. Welcome.